the as in the duties of the transformer, what it does, it helps to ensure that the light that is being going, that the light supply to the facility is being moderated in the sense that it doesn't allow excess load to enter the facility. Then we move down to water management, where we were shown the aeration tank, the filtration process as well, and the chemical that is being used. We also shown the diesel storage system, and we were told the main essence why we should monitor our diesels to ensure that theft doesn't occur, and to also it will show a pattern of how our diesel is being used in the facility. We were also shown the fire sector, how it is run, then the hydrant system as well. I think lastly we were shown the waste system, the waste management system, how it is being done, how the waste is being separated, as in all the waste that is being produced in the facility, how it is being separated. Then lastly, we ended the session with question and answer. I think most of us ask questions to like understand what is going on. So that has been my take. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you very, very much. That was a lot. Okay, so I just wanted to ask, can you guys see the screen? Can you see the slide on the screen? Can everyone see it?
We do.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so now the facilitator is around, and he will take over from here. All right.
Hi, guys. Good evening once again. Can you hear me? Can someone hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Please, can we go on slideshow again so we can have can we go on presentation mode?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. So
Okay,
this evening,
please, sir, please can you on your video?
Okay.
Yes, please. All right. Thank you.
So can you guys see me now?
Yes, we can see you now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So this evening we're talking about the fire equipment maintenance, right? Or firefighting equipment maintenance. But are we taking a step deeper? Or we talk about the fire safety management itself. So you need to know how to manage. So can we go on mute if we're not talking, please? So let me try and mute. Okay. Okay. I think that's fine now. So I said I'm going to be taking us into a bit of fire safety management before we then even dwell on the maintenance. I think you need to know how to manage before you know how to maintain. Okay. My name is Engineer Kolapo Olade. I work with British American Tobacco as head of projects within the engineering and sustainability spaces. Right. So this evening, we'll look into fire safety. So if we ask ourselves, what is fire? Or if fire is a friend or an enemy, what does it sound to you? How does it sound to you? So is fire really a friend or is fire an enemy? I just need maybe two persons, then I lay the foundation of discourse. So please, I don't know if you are for, if you are against. So to you, is fire a friend or is fire an enemy? Whichever one you choose, can you just justify it? Thank you. You can unmute your mic. Anyone, please.
Well, to me, Fire is a friend and it's also an enemy. As a woman, I use fire to cook. But if there's fire outbreak in the house, then it becomes an enemy.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Any other person? Is fire actually a friend or is fire an enemy? Okay. Anyway, not to waste much of our time, I think Esther is very correct. Fire is actually both a friend or it can also be an enemy. So it is both a friend and an enemy, depending on how it is being managed. So fire can be a master and it can be a slave. All right. It can be a master, which means that at that point is an enemy and is mastering or is in charge of how you react. And fire can also be, we converted to a slave, which means that we are actually mastering or we are masters over, the fire situation. So fire is actually needed by everyone, for cooking, eating, even for survival. Right. However, this same fire, when it gets out of hand, can then, throw us off balance, and then maybe we say that there is a loss. In this case, it can be a loss to the person, meaning that people can actually die due to fire burns or what have you. It can be loss of, assets, that's damage or burnt assets or properties. It can be loss to the environment where there is actual air pollution, right? The incomplete combustion, the carbon monoxide that is being released to the atmosphere then causes, air pollution. So that's why we tell you that things like bush burning and what have you actually, harmful to the environment because then distorts, the quality of air in the environment. And mind you, when the quality of the air in the environment is polluted, it also has an health impact. So there is impact on the people that are actually breathing in that polluted, air. And there also is spillage and what have you that then destroys people's means of livelihood and the likes. And of course, the reputation of the company is damaged or destroyed because now people know that the company cannot handle or manage fire, in a proper way, and maybe the factory or the office has been in flames, has got burnt over and over again. And of course, there is that security threat to even properties, to people's life. When there is a fire incident, miscreants disguised as helpers gain access to your facility. But at that point, there is loss of control, and they can then also steal from both the individuals and the organization. So I just try now to link losses under health and safety to a fire incident to say there's people, environment, asset, reputation, and the security part. And when there is a fire accident. Can you go to the next slide? So let's define what fire is, as an exothermic, reaction. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. Let me talk about the equipment and then we define fire itself. Any equipment you use to put fire under control is a firefighting equipment. So say equipment used for firefighting in the event of an outbreak. All right, that equipment is meant to protect life, that's the people, properties, that's the assets, environment, what have you again, even the reputation of the company and security. But importantly, these equipment can be passive, meaning that until somebody uses them, they cannot function. E.g., your fire hydrants, your fire extinguishers, all right? And they can be active, meaning that upon some certain conditions being met, the firefighting agent will be released into the fire, e.g. the water sprinkler system, e.g. the FM200, right? E.g. the smoke detection system, and what have you. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're then saying that fire starts when three things come together: the fuel, the oxygen, and the ignition temperature. Mean that fire will not start if there's nothing, it will burn. There's no fuel. Fire will not start if there is, no increase or change in temperature. And it has to be a temperature that can actually start and sustain the fire. Fire will not start if there is insufficient oxygen. All right, so we're saying that fire will give off heat, and it's also a chemical reaction. In fact, it's also give off light. So they say it's exothermic, external heat. It said when there is an exothermic chemical reaction involving fuel and rapid oxidation, of course, in the presence of a source of ignition. And that's what you see in that triangle. And note, we said the conditions must be proper, because some conditions need to be met before fire can start. Next slide. All right, same thing with the triangle, and just the further explanation around the percentage of oxygen between 18 to 21%. At 15%, fire will start but cannot be sustained. Then for ignition temperature, there is this temperature that will start fire. So naked flame, heating appliances, defective wiring, and the likes, they're going to start fire. Excuse me for 30 seconds, please. All right, sorry for that, guys. I need to attend to someone. All right, so I will say that the temperature at which the fire will burn can be caused by, heating elements, naked cables, overloaded sockets, overheating, naked flame, bush burning, and just name it. We need to be careful where we are and how we handle ignition or heat sources. We've seen cases where people plug, electric iron and leave it there for how long they may want to do that. And the honest truth is that if you have such situation, it's just a matter of time. There will be issues, around fire outbreak in that premises. Next slide, please. Recall that the fuel we're talking about is not just about petrol or diesel. Fuel can come in three major forms or categories. It could be solid, like table, chair, our clothes, wood, firewood, right? And what have you, plastics. It could be liquid, petrol, diesel, kerosene, and it could be in a gaseous state, such as your butane, your cooking gas, propane, and some other, combustible gases. So we're saying that if you are, the moment you are handling, don't even use the word handling. The moment you have either something else to do with chair, wood, cloth, anything that can burn, plastic, in solid state, nylon, or you have petrol, diesel, kerosene around you, paraffin, even grease. If these things are there, or you have gases like propane, butane, acetylene, things like that around your work area, you are sure that there is a possibility of fire outbreak happening if and only if you don't handle such items very well. If fuel will remain there, and in fact will dry up, if it's liquid or gas, I will not result in fire if there is no ignition temperature or temperature at which it will burn that comes near it. If there's no naked cable, if there's no spark, electric spark, there's no naked flame, and what have you. The truth is that some of us engage in some bad practices, including open bush burning, which can get out of hand and lead to fire outbreak. What are we saying? A good understanding of how fire starts will give us an edge to prevent or fight the fire, so that we recognize that oxygen sustains consumption, heat raises the temperature of the material, and some materials even react based on compatibility. So if the materials are compatible, you don't store them. So if you are in an industry where you handle chemicals, please pay attention to the material safety data sheet, MSDS, of the chemical, so that you do not store incompatible materials together. Next slide, please. So we're saying that for you to know how to fight fire effectively, there are some things you need to do, some things you need to prepare for. So we said it is firefighting preparedness. There are 4 things that matters a lot if we want to master fire and prevent an unwanted event of fire outbreak. One is to understand what can cause fire and equip ourselves to prevent that. We call it fire prevention. Understand how fire can occur and ensure that you're working towards or you're working against such things. Fire prevention. There's the second one we call fire protection, where you use materials that can last, that does not ignite easily for your building construction, for your facility demarcation. You want to partition an office. Don't just go and say, oh, we can use, wood with plywood or board, HDF, and we can, screed that and it will be smooth, nobody will know, and we are good. No. Again, don't go and get asbestos because they are hazardous to health. Have you thought of maybe fiber boards, the cinema boards, which are also resistant to what? Fire. So they will not help, they will not aid the spread of fire. I know for some of us, maybe the PVC ceiling is trending, or maybe using wood to design the ceiling, then you then screed it, it looks like POP, maybe it's cheaper. And as a facility manager or as a prayer manager or property manager, you believe you can make money from such things. It's penny wise, pounds foolish. Things that can ignite easily should not be used at all. They should not be used at all. So in doing this, you are preventing fire from happening. You are protecting your facility from fire outbreak. But it's possible that fire will still break out. What do we need to do? Have a detection system, fire alarm system. Then also have a suppression system, especially if you're in the industry, FM200, water sprinkler systems, and what have you. After this, then we can talk of firefighting. So I mentioned 5 things in this place right now. I said prevention, protection, detection, suppression, and firefighting. So we need to equip the building with the smoke detectors, the waters or FM suppression systems, the fire extinguishers, the fire blankets, and whatever we think will be useful based on the type of hazards, based on things that can cause fire, based on the fuel that is stored or that exists in that space. Afterwards, we need to train the workers on what they need to do and how they need to use this equipment, what they need to do in case of a fire outbreak, and how they need to use the firefighting equipment. Lastly, we need to do what we call role assignment, which is task and responsibility. What is the task? Who is responsible to do it? Also, it is possible that the fire will be so large that we'll need the fire service guys, either state or federal, to participate in putting out the fire. In this case, the building layout must be available. Or at worst, someone that knows the layout of the premises should be available to guide, lead, describe, show, tell, and of course, help these firefighters so that they can easily gain access to the area that is on fire, and also, to be able to escape or leave that premises safely. Next slide, please. Remember the last time I spoke extensively around strategy as a management activity that starts with planning. So we're seeing that strategic actions towards firefighting preparedness. What are those things we need to do that shows that from the management's point of view, we are ready to fight fire? One, determine all activities that can lead to fire, smoke, or heat generation within your premises. As simple as smoking. We've seen an hotel that got burnt. Of course, the room got burnt because somebody just disposed discriminately the cigarette butts just straight on the floor. The rug was on fire, the beddings were on fire, and then the room was on fire. You don't want to have that situation in your premises where there is a loss because some people are doing what they're not supposed to do. Also, check out the effective and cost-efficient way of using the resources, people, money, asset, and land. All right. We need to find a way to, even time. How do we make effective use of these things? Carry out hazard and risk assessment and check the procedures. I'm talking of strategic level. Put in the controls, either to prevent or to recover from. So either preventive or mitigation controls should be put in place. Then I've spoken about the building plan or layout. We see that we should also give consideration, safety consideration to the firefighters and the public. Then your plan should be commensurate with the kind of operation or hazard that you have in your facility. Next slide, please. So we said we should look at a few standards. So NFPA, that's the National Fire Protection Association, standard 10 speaks to fire extinguisher. NFPA standard 72 talks about alarming system and detection. That's the smoke detector, installation, design, and maintenance. And NFPA 13 speaks to fire sprinkler system. We are saying that in everything, ensure that at least there's the monthly inspection of these stuffs. Ensure that through preventive maintenance, which we're going to be talking about today, we're able to sustain the usefulness of these extinguishers, detectors, and sprinkler system, and that you ensure that there are no losses to the business due to malfunctioning components of these firefighting equipment. Next slide. So for every fire extinguisher, the following things must be seen, must be available. One, the extinguisher should be accessible. First point. If it's not accessible, then there's no need. Two, there must be a pressure indicator that tells us that, oh, this extinguisher is good or not. Three, in fact, is that if you have a pressure indicator, the extinguisher should be heavy in the case of CO2. That shows that something is actually inside the extinguisher. Then 3, it should be well identified and labeled. 4, there must be pin and seal by the by the tip or topmost part of the extinguisher. So the pin is what we're going to remove when we want to use the extinguisher. So but just by the end of the hose or the nozzle, there must be a pin with a seal. Then the instructions on the extinguisher must be legible. There must be a service date to show when it was last serviced and the due date for servicing. The on or the hose must not be defective. The bottom of the cylinder should not be corroded. Then the installation height from the floor should not be more than 5 feet, so that some of us can lift the extinguishers, if need be. Next slide. Okay. We're also saying that for these extinguishers, they need to be inspected. So you can see from that screen, what we mean by the inspection and the suggested frequency of inspection. Next slide. So, as a country, Nigeria, there is a National Fire Safety Code 2013 that is being enforced by the Federal Fire Service, just to ensure that people comply with the fire safety code, and of course, people are ready to ensure that safety is the way of life in their facility. In fact, for commercial facility, they issue like a certificate of inspection, just to show that that building has been duly inspected. So please, NFPA code is there for us, and as well the National Fire Safety Code 2018, telling us what to do in case of fire planning, preparedness, and of course, ensuring that we are ready, to mitigate the effect of fire even before it starts. Okay, so we can also be looking at the OSHA code, that's the Occupational Safety and Health Authority in the US, for us to gain insights into how to prevent fire outbreak. Next slide. Okay, so for the built environment, looking at OSHA standard, we are saying that all offices should have alternate exit routes. So you don't build an office space and there's only one door that takes us in and out of that premises. Very wrong. It will lead to entrapment in some cases. All right, so please make sure that you are able to have an exit in case there's a problem. Also, we need to ensure that the material, remember I told you about fire protection, all right? So, and here is what we call fire resistant material, that the exits should have fire resistant material, so that at least even if fire is burning, it doesn't burn into the exit space. And we're also saying that it should open out you should open outside, to an open space or to a place that is free from danger. All right. And the openings into an exit must be limited, because again, we don't want oxygen to be within the, the fire exit area. Otherwise, it will fan the fire, and fire will, actually blow up. Okay, next slide. Again, we've spoken about the single exit and entry. Okay, that where we can have more than 2 exits. Please, let's do. The exit door should be unlocked. It is such, so fire, so if you buy or if you install a fire exit door, you cannot open the door from outside the building, but when you just push it from inside, the door is opened. So let's look at that space. Let's have a fire exit door that is unlocked and that can open, from inside. Then we spoke about, ceiling the other time. So it's not just about the material of construction of the ceiling that matters, also the height of the ceiling. So most times by design, we do a 2.4. Yes, said each exit should be at least 2.3 meter high. So we do 2.8, that's about 8 feet. All right, because some people may actually be tall, and we don't want them to be, to hit their head against anything while trying to escape from the building. Okay, then the exit must be wide enough, at least to contain 2 people at the same time. So at 28 inches, the exit is actually wide enough. Next slide. So there is another code, 1910.39, that is advising us to have a plan. So that plan should not just be spoken, it should also be documented. All right, so it's an oral and written plan. And we're saying that the plan should be made available to all employees. They should be aware and familiar with the plan, as well as the plan should be kept in the workplace, if possible, close to the point of need or use. We've gone paperless for sustainability. So this can actually be digitalized so that people can have it on their mobile. Next slide. So for you to have that fire prevention plan, you need to be able to list out the major fire hazard. Remember, when we were talking about the strategic action that you need to take, we said that what can lead to fire? Heat or even burns. So what can lead to a situation where there is increase in temperature, something is burning, or is generating heat? Those are your major fire hazards. If you have chemicals stored in your facility, check the Max-Migold sensitive data sheet, the MSDS, to be sure that the chemicals are compatible and can be stored together. If there are places where waste materials are being handled and they are combustible or flammable, please let it be designated and away from the building, maybe towards the fence, or just have something designated such that even if there is fire, it doesn't catch the building easily. Ensure regular maintenance of your fire extinguishers, sprinkler system, 200 and the fire detection systems have like a schedule for their maintenance. Okay. Then whoever is responsible for anything, whoever is responsible to let the person be aware and track with the person. And again, ensure that there's a constant review of your plan, of these things we've said, just in case there's an update and you can update. Next slide. So during installation, there is the part that we must comply with the standard. All right. For most organizations now, they merge this OSHA standard with NFPA standard, Nigeria Fire Protection Association, which ensure that when fire equipment are tested, they are returned to their normal position or normal operation, after testing. Then there could be defects. We must ensure that the consumables are readily available. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So all system must be in operable state, except during maintenance or repairs. Meaning that there must be no downtime, there was no defect. And if there is any defect, this should be corrected immediately. After this, all systems must be tested and adjusted as required. So you balance the fire pump, you balance the radius of coverage of the smoke detectors and what have you. If there is an hydraulic detection system or pneumatic, so either using fluid or is using air, this must be supervised, that's be manned. Ensure that only trained persons carry out your maintenance, and ensure that you blow the dust every 3 months away from the fire detectors. Next slide. So you can see that dust particles, deaths can cause the fire system to misbehave. So this we need to guard against. For the fire detectors or smoke detectors, they need to be protected from the weather. You cannot just go and put smoke detector under the sun or under the rain. No, it's not a copper. All right, so make sure that they are shielded and shaded. Make sure that they are free from corrosion, because water ingress can spoil the detectors. They are free from where they can get impacted mechanically, or physically. Then smoke detectors should be independent, and supported by a system that is a bit resistant to the fire zone. What do I mean? You cannot connect your fire alarm to the factory or to the premises alarm. What do? We have to the premises, maybe power system. So what do? We have like battery powered, alarm system wired to the panel. So inside the inside the fire panel of the smoke detector panel, we have batteries. So even though we power the panels by the premises electricity, when there is a power outage, the batteries take over. All right. and evacuation alarm is sounded. But if we don't carry out maintenance, these batteries will be dead. But because they are not replaced, it will just be there until the day there is an emergency and there is power outage. You then realize that you cannot notify others. Next slide, please. Is it the network of my hand or the slide is not moving? Hello?
The slide is not moving.
Okay. Okay, thank you. There's something we call response time. That's the time to evacuate the building or premises. This is not cast in stone because again, it depends on the size of your facility and the design. However, we expect within 10 minutes that the last person in that building should get to the muster point. I don't know if that is clear. Muster point is that fire assembly point where people normally gather when there is an emergency. So no matter the size of your facility, as soon as there is an emergency, we expect people to leave immediately and leave everything behind. Go to the muster point where there will be head counts to, account, that's the word, to account for people within the premises. So if anybody is trapped, we can as well go and look for the person. I mean, the fire marshals can go and look for the person and do the needful. So we said that the response time should be designed to operate in time to control or extinguish a fire. That means there is already an estimation of how long will it take. So that's what we then use to estimate the response time. It should be designated and installed to provide warning for safe escape of employees. Should not be delayed by employers for more than 30 seconds. Meaning that the alarm should sound as soon as possible. Don't waste time. When there is fire, break the glass, the core points, glass, or shout fire, 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 and let people move to the muster points. And for people to move, it means that you have also established or identified where the muster point is going to be. So it's not just on the day of the event that we're looking for muster points. Next slide, please. Okay. So you don't need to bother yourself around how to locate space or number fire detectors. You know why? The NFPA 72 that speaks to the detection system has given a guideline on what we need to do. So when we have the layout of your facility, following an NFPA 72, including consideration for pillars and beams, we can at least estimate, how many smoke detectors you should have in the building. All right, if there is also a corridor, so if it's like a banking hall, school premises, hotel, or what have you, that kind of setting or setup is different from an office area, a factory, or a warehouse. All right, because of the design and of course, the storage condition, people using let's say the use of the facility. So there is the part of the design and there's the part of the use of the facility. You can design something like an hotel and use it for something else. That kind of hazard the theory behind the hazards will change versus when, a place is a warehouse, all right? So for instance, a warehouse or a factory is just a wide abundance of space, all right? So at that point, you can be looking at position or installing your fire extinguishers at, sorry, your smoke detectors at 81 square meter radius. So meaning that the radius of coverage per smoke detector is about 81 square meter. All right, that is what NFPA 13, NFPA 72 has told us. All right, but where there are pillar, beam, then maybe shelf, things stored, then we need to take those that thing we call use of space. We take it into consideration to then estimate, the amount of smoke detectors that should be there. So use of space, we take into consideration, what you are storing in that space, the number of hours that people will be occupying that space, the beam or the interference within the space, and a couple of other things that we'll consider as professionals. All right. So we said we should look at the design obtained from testing, field experience or engineering survey, which I've told you has to do with the design and the use of space. All right. Then, of course, what the manufacturer is telling us. And again, what the NFPA 72 is telling us. Next slide. So we're also saying that for automatic sprinkler system, looking at OSHA 1910.159, as well as NFPA 13. So if you look at the necessary discharge pattern, we should look at the water flow characteristics and density. Where is the water coming from? At what pressure? What's the pump pushing it? Of course, it's going to be a closed design system, but we need to know the size of the piping. That will help us determine the force per area or per hinge that is being pushed along that sprinkler head. And of course, again, the use of the space will tell us what we should do in terms of the sprinkler system. Federally approved equipment are used as per design, and maintenance is king, not key. Maintenance is king. So we should ensure that maintenance happen as I went due. Next slide, please. In all we are doing, we should ensure that for whatever installation or maintenance is carried out, that there's what we call acceptance test. When you make the vendor or the contractor to perform the test, as good as it is in operation. So you want to ensure that whatever data or parameter that is being generated, is a direct reflection of how it will perform upon usage. So when it's put to use, how will it perform? That is very key to us here. Okay. So they said it can be hydrostatic test for piping, flushing of underground connections. I will even advise us against underground, because when there is leakage, we don't even know. Okay. Then drainage facility testing, again, to be sure that there's no leakage. You operate your dry pipe and your white pipe to be sure that something is flowing inside. Then it's important that for the dry pipe system, we use air to test that there is a flow. And if we don't have that, we can also use water to test the flow. All right, next slide. So this what the sprinkler head looks like. So we're saying that even in installing this, right spacing must be given, and whatever we are selecting, there must be capability for 30 minutes firefighting. In fact, depending on your this at least, right? So what we recommend is about an hour. An hour firefighting capability, which then comes as a function of the water storage tank, function of your pump flow rate, function of the capability for the tanks to be refilled when it is working, and of course, function of the hazards available in the workplace. So the way we're going to design for an oil and gas facility or a tank that stores combustible liquid is here from how we're going to design a library. All right, a place with maybe solid fuel. Remember, I told you that fuel can be solid, liquid, or gas. So what you're going to design for a liquid or gaseous space is way, way, way more sophisticated than what you'll be designing, for a simple hazard such as solid fuel. So this we need to keep in mind. Next slide. Okay. And when I say that when there is an emergency, please take action. When there is an emergency, please take action. So what do we mean? Ensure that you have assessed the risks of your workplace. This we discuss extensively under health and safety module. So what can go wrong? What's the severity? What's the probability? Please, this should be clear and very clear. How badly can it be? Severity. What's the consequence? Again, this should be clear. And if it's going to happen, what is the chance? Please, this again should be clear. Next slide. Remember, we spoke about the event threat analysis for you to come up with quantitative risk assessment. So, but for fire, there is one other step. We said that you should do what? Establish the operating context. Identify the hazard that poses the threats. Analyze the hazard, severity times likelihood. Put priority. Remember, we spoke about the threat risks or the threat stroke risk rank index, or what I call the risk prioritization number, where you do that multiplication 3 times 3 times 4, 3 times 3 times 3 times 1, you get 81. And I told you that the higher the number, the higher your risk. Then look at the options available to tackle the risks. This is what we call the hierarchy of control. Elimination, substitution, engineering control, either by guarding or isolation, administrative control, use of PPE, and for fire, use of CPE. CP is what we call collective protective equipment. PP is what we call personal protective equipment. So there is a difference. There is one that is collective, that is protecting all of us at the same time. There is one that is just protecting one person. So a fire extinguisher, for instance, is a collective protective equipment. A safety boot is a personal protective equipment. Then we say we should implement the best option using the available resource. Next slide. Next slide, please. I've explained this. Next slide. I just spoke about this. So that when you're coming out your inspection, now you know what you are looking for. For the fire extinguishers, there are 9 checkpoints that you should ask yourself. Is it accessible? Is the gauge on green for GCP, dry chemical powder? Or is the gauge, is the cylinder heavy based on weight for CO2? Do we have the pin and the seal by the connecting point of the hose? Are the extinguishers identified? Are the labels eligible? Are the extinguishers installed at the right height of no more than 5 feet, 1.5 meters? Are they the right color code? Are the extinguishers the right extinguishers for the type of hazard available in that space? Everything I'm saying here should be recorded, should be documented. That was how we record the findings. For the smoke detectors, is the light on the detector blinking, working? Have we blown, at least on a monthly basis, the dust using an handheld blower? So blow the dust away from the smoke detectors. Is the fire panel working without any false alarm? Bring in an experienced, trained fire maintenance specialist to then do all these checks for you. And you follow suit. You can go online and download even checklist for fire extinguishers, checklist for fire smoke detectors, checklist for fire hydrants, checklist for automatic water sprinkler system, checklist for inspection of FM 200, checklist. Ask yourself, download, print, and use the experience of you having attended this class to select or pick what works for you. Document all the signal findings. Check and ask yourself, who are the people that will be harmed? And how do we make sure the harm does not occur? Ensure that proper checks are made. Thorough investigation on what or whom might be affected is concluded. That all the significant hazards are identified and noted. Safety precautions are taken as reasonably practicable. The remaining hazard is as low as reasonably practicable. Every employee is involved in the process and they are aware, they are trained, they are informed. You prioritize and address the serious risks based on your event threat analysis approach. We discussed that during our last class on emergency preparedness, right? and you identify long-term solution for the risks with the highest consequences. So I don't come into this space every time, all right? And you identify what the solution should look like. Next slide, please. We are saying that fire drills should be carried out. Why? You want to test the system. You want to be sure that what you have said that you will do can be done. You want to ensure that people understand the roles and responsibilities. Remember, I told you that, there was the equipping of the building, of course, with FM 400. If you have a data or IT equipment room, there must be automatic water sprinkler system. There must be smoke detectors. You must have fire extinguishers. You must equip the building. You must train your workers on how to use things you have provided. For the extinguishers, we use what we call the pass method, PAWS, where you put the pin, you aim at the base of the fire, you squeeze the lever, and you sweep side by side until the fire is fully extinguished. So people must be familiar with how fire can actually happen and what they need to do. And that's what we call the fire drill. And we say that everyone should be familiar with the sound of the fire alarm, so they would think he's up NEPA. They must be familiar with the sound of the fire alarm. And this drill should be conducted at least once in a year. Next slide, please. So we've spoken about the protection and the detection system, right? I think I've been able to explain what those things mean. So you can look at all this. Protection does not allow quick spread of fire. Detection alerts occupants and neighbors that there is fire or there is danger in a space. Next slide, please. You can look at so we'll say an alert system will help you to detect the presence of fire or smoke, will inform the building occupants. If your facility is quite big, we usually ask that you bring all the fire panels together into a central control room, so that from a centralized location, they can know what is happening in different areas within the facility or premises. So if your space is big, consider the central control room, so that from there they can know which exact location is impacted or affected, and they can also quickly notify the fire service. All right. Next slide. Do you want to take a break or I should continue?
So let's continue. We didn't start on time.
Okay, guys. So we said the fire alarm system can be addressable or can be conventional. No, that's an analog. Addressable fire alarm system will tell you exactly where the problem is, where the smoke detector has detected the fire. However, for an analog, you have to go and check, on the panel. You have to check what is happening, which location, and you can then make a decision. And the adjustable panel will even communicate, we announce, that's where it has been programmed, announce that, oh, there is fire, just say emergency, emergency, emergency. Fire on the first floor left wing. Emergency, emergency, emergency. Occupants should be on standby. I repeat. And it tells you exactly what is happening. So if you're on the, let's say on the ground floor, oh, there is a problem on the first floor left wing. And of course, the fire marshals will quickly do a sweep to check that, okay, it is not something that can go out of hand. All right. But if it's analog, along with sounding, you and I will go to the panel and check, and we then see zone 1. Then we check again what is zone 1. Then we then see, okay, left wing, first floor. Hello. These are two different things. Next slide. So you heard me say something about zone, right? So that conventional system is zoned, and we can then look at, okay, how do we do the mapping of the zone versus layout? And that's what we then discuss with the fire marshals when they go to try and quench or extinguish the fire. All right, that also helps us to then make other announcements through the fire marshal team to tell people to evacuate the building to the muster points. All right. We have small detectors that are actually wireless, but the danger with this is that it works on either Bluetooth or, of course, wireless connection, and is dependent on signals not being lost and batteries being healthy. Right, so if you use a wireless system, it's fast, it's sweet to use, but it doesn't last unless there is serious maintenance around it. So if you have wireless system in your place, please also ask for the maintenance system, which will include the weekly checks that has to happen, the scheduled replacement of the batteries, the tests that should be carried out to ensure that there is communication among these. So that means you activate one smoke detector and others must blink at the same time. All right. The danger again here is that there's no panel. You don't even know where fire is coming from. All right. Next slide. Okay. So we're saying that a water-based, automatic fire sprinkler system is an active detection, is an active suppression system, because you can see that red, we call it the fire bulb. It breaks at the set temperature. So when the room is going to 70 degrees, then it senses that this cannot be a human being living here when we're not in a bakery. Oh yeah, break. And when that bulb breaks, it short circuits the panel. And when the panel is short circuited, the fire pump comes up and push water through the dedicated sprinkler lines, and water then pour from this umbrella, that umbrella head, which is the sprinkler heads, and that place is then flooded with water, and the fire is suppressed or extinguished. All right. So it depends on the temperature of the room. It senses the temperature. All right. And we say it's an active fire protection system because it will discharge water. Same thing with FM200. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So we're also saying that for some suppression system, apart from water spill, so when you say suppression, that means it can kill the fire, but it can be automatic like the sprinkler system, and it can be automatic or what we call active, and it can be passive, such as our fire hydrant system or even the hose reel. All right. So either way, for the automatic or active ones, you can look at the ones that are gaseous, that are non-water based. They are gaseous, such as FM200, Argonite, again, the nitrogen based, surveillance system and the likes. But for the passive ones, they are water based, which could be the hose reel or the fire hydrant system. Next slide. A fire extinguisher also is a passive system because it needs somebody to activate it before it can work. It is used to extinguish small fires, or what we call fire at the incipient stage. And so it's not active, it's not, it doesn't perform the right job when the fire is already grown or has reached the ceiling. All right. Ensure that when you're using fire extinguishers, you are backing the door, meaning that the door is at your back, so that you can then walk backwards and escape from the room. Ensure that your exit is never blocked at any time. All right. And I told you that you pull the pin, you aim at the base of the fire, you squeeze the lever, and you sweep from side to side. Next slide, please. Okay, we're almost done. All right. So we can classify fire this way, or we can go with the UK approach that called it ABCDF. All right. So class A, solid fires or fire due to solid fuel. Class B, fire due to liquid fuel. Class C, fire due to gaseous fuel. Class D, fire due to combustible metal or metals. Then class F, fire due to fatty oil and animal fats. All right. So when you are, when you set your chicken or your ram on fire, it's actually a class F kind of fire situation. Next slide, please. Okay. So we have these common 5 codes for fire extinguishers. So right now, new extinguishers are all red in color. The cylinders are actually color red. So how do you now know which one is which? All right. Or which one is used to fight which fire? All right. So we use the neck cape, this black, blue, cream, red, and yellow. That's what you are seeing now. Black, in that order, from left to right. Black, which is carbon dioxide, CO2. Blue, which is dry chemical powder, the DCP. Number 3 is cream, which is the chemical foam, commonly used for class B, which is liquid fire. Then we have the red, it blends with the color of the cylinder, which is water-based extinguisher. Then we have the yellow neck cape, which is the wet chemical, which is very effective on class F. All right. So depending on the source of the fuel, then we can select either or any of these 5. If it is a class A, which is solid fuel, like table, chair, cloth, and everything, water extinguisher is effective. Dry chemical powder, DCP, is effective. If it's a class B, which is more around liquid-based fuel, petrol, kerosene, diesel, we prefer to use the foam, chemical foam extinguisher, and also the dry chemical powder extinguisher. Those 2 are effective. If it is fire due to gaseous, we prefer to use the dry chemical, DCP, alone. If it is fire due to combustible metals, we can go with the carbon dioxide as well, as the foam. If it is fire due to electricity, there's nothing like class E. We say fire due to electricity. Then CO2, carbon dioxide is very good inside the premises. However, outside the premises, still go with your dry chemical powder. All right. no foam, no water, no wet chemical. If it is due to electricity, use a CO2 or a DCP. If it's inside the house or inside the facility, I mean within the rooms, use carbon dioxide. If it's outside, use dry chemical powder. Then if it's a class F fire, which is fire that is due to fatty oil, animal fats, and what have you, please use wet chemical. Next slide, please. Keep going. I've explained all this. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, hold on. So fire hose view system, you can see some of us are familiar with this. And of course, with the hydrants and the pillar, you can see the pillar hydrants, you can see the hydrant hoses and everything. They come with high pressure because there is a pump that will push the water. So the moment you open the valve, there is water loss. The jockey pump will try to balance the pressure at just 1% of the main pump. If that cannot be done, then the main pump will start work. And the main pump will start work in this sequence: electric before diesel. I said there's a jockey. After the jockey and the system is still not balanced, that means the rate of water loss is higher than the rate of water being pushed into the pipe. The electric pump comes up. And if it is prolonged for a long time, or we need to knock off power supply to that building, the diesel engine, fire engine, then comes into play. The aim is to push the water wherever the valve has been opened or the hose reel has been operated, just to ensure that water is available at least 10 bar or between 7 to 10 bar to extinguish the fire. Next slide. Okay. I've spoken about fire hydrants. I've said something about the valve, landing valve. All right, so you can read this up. Yes. Okay. So we said raising an alarm. When there is an outbreak, there are many ways to raise the alarm. You can break the call point, the manual call point, the MCP. That's red box, that small red box by the door in your office or by the wall. Just break the glass, press that button, that black circle button, alarm will go off. All right. You can also use your mouth and shout fire, fire, fire. You know, people will understand, and of course, help will come. All right. Then I've explained the extinguishers we can use based on the kind of fire. Please use them. If it's an electric appliance that has started that fire, we may need to put off the power supply to the building. So please do that. Everybody should leave the building. And we expect, and let me say it, that your building is equipped with emergency lights and emergency exit signs. I repeat, fire emergency signs that shows that, oh, this is the way out, and fire emergency lights that will come up when the main power supply to the building is turned off. If you don't have that, please, that already is an emergency we need to have in your building. Leave the building and leave everything behind. Move to the nearest emergency exit and the muster point. Call fire service. You are in Lagos, 767 or 112. Somebody will answer you. Then head count, that's the roll call to be sure that nobody is missing. Now, let me teach you this trick. In your facility, please set up 4 groups. 4. The first group, call them muster points or roll call group, head counts, or just call it head counts. The first group, head counts. They will account for the number of people that came to the premises and how many of them we are seen at the muster points. So call the first group head counts group. Okay? Call the second group search and rescue group. Are you there? Call the third group communication group. Communication. I will tell you what the four will do. And call the last group firefighting group. So I said the first one is head count. So when there is an alarm, they are the one that will tell people, please leave to the muster point. Leave to the muster point now. You know, and there will be representatives from different departments. And they will direct people to the muster point. At the muster point, they take the roll call. Again, depends on the system you guys are operating. If you use your card, if there is a VISCA register, and what have you. If you use a card, what we do for muster points is to muster people by their department. I don't know everybody in the factory. I don't know everybody in the building. But if they assemble based on their departments, there is high chance of being able to be accounted for. There is high chance of being able to be accounted for. All right. Then I said the second one is about search and rescue. People that go into the building to do this search and sweep, they see whether somebody is stranded, has fainted, is frightened, has frozen, or what have you. Remember when there is an emergency, people either freeze, fight, or flee. Three things will happen. As you are seated now, as you are seated where you are, imagine snake just crawl through your legs. Is either you jump up, that's flee, or you try to attack it and say, what is this? What is falling on my leg? That's fight, or you are helpless and don't know what to do. All right, that's freeze. So is that you flee, you freeze, or you fight? The three Fs. So people experience that even in the case of an emergency. They get stuck, they run away, or they just collapse. Some try to then fight. The search and rescue guys push them out of that space, meaning they come to their rescue. They either carry them out, push them out, motivate them out, or instruct them to go out. That's number two. Number three, communication. Somebody will call the fire service. Somebody will speak, will coordinate. Somebody will welcome the fire service guys when they arrive and show them where the fire is suspected to be coming from. That is a communication group. Very key. And finally, the firefighting group that actually carry the fire extinguisher and go towards the fire. I think this is quite. Next slide. So on hearing the alarm, leave the building, don't use the elevator, use the staircase, because we're going to power off the elevator. We're going to turn off the power. All right, so don't use the elevator. Close all doors and windows when leaving, if it is safe to do so. This is not an instruction. It's only close the door, because there's what we call the backdraft. All right, where there is sudden ingress or rush of oxygen into the building. It fans, it's increase the intensity of the fire. It's like you're blowing oxygen into the fire, and that makes the fire to be difficult. That's why we say close the window, close the door. So as when fire finish consuming the oxygen in the room, it can go off. All right. Don't carry your laptop and everything. That's why for some of us, you know, our keys and everything should even be in our pockets, you know, at work, because anything can happen and we need to leave the premises right away. Don't go and try to start your car. No, it's a no-no. Assist people to the nearest safe exit point if you are a member of search and rescue, or if at the point of you leaving, it is safe to do so. Report to the emergency fire assembly point or muster point for your head count, and don't enter the building unless you are told to do so. All right, next slide. We're almost done, don't worry. I've told you that to use an extinguisher, please use what we call the PASS method, PASS. You can watch that on YouTube. It's a 1-minute video and you will love it. I can tell you, we love it. Next slide. And a fire extinguisher is used to limit the spread of the fire, can help us to evacuate safely, and not just extinguisher alone, even the hydrants, fire hydrants, those three, they can help us to do this a lot, to make us escape out of the situation. And when the alarm is sounding, it's an early warning that makes us to move fast. All right. And we said the fire detection should be audible, loud, clear, unique, and recognizable. All right. I mean the sound of your fire alarm. Next slide. Please develop an evacuation procedure. And this should be part of your emergency plan. Remember when we were talking about the emergency preparedness and business continuity? Fire is a form of emergency. So have a plan for it. Do your risk assessment using that event threat analysis. Ensure that evacuation is initiated by sounding the alarm, and carry this out frequently. Every quarter, every 6 months, test your alarm. Has carry out the fire drill. Ensure that people have access to make their way to the fire assembly point. Please don't block fire assembly points with anything, not even cars. It's a no parking spot. Don't block fire exit way with all these cleaners, material or cleaning material within your facility. Is a no-no. Then a procedure must be in place for the disabled so that they can actually also be rescued. One of the things we do for disabled or people with disability is what we call the body system, where we appoint people that will go and take them out of that space. Let's say the person has mobility issue, cannot walk. If it's maybe sight issue, we use what we call a strobe, multicolored lights. So when the person sees that the light that he or she is seeing, is affecting his eyes, what is multicolored, and is like that, the light on a security vehicle, or the light in the club, the blue, red, and what have you kind of lights, it distorts vision, and the person with either any disability will know that for me to see we call it strobe lights. For me to see this strobe light, it means that there is a problem somewhere. Okay, please let that procedure be in place and let them understand. People with disability in your facility, let them understand that when you see this, it means that move now to the muster point. Next slide. So fire service is the government agency we're talking about. All right. Please, what I will only beg you is that make sure that you have a relationship with the closest fire service station to your premises, to your facility. You cannot be a facility manager and you have not visited, or you don't have a relationship, you don't have the phone number, not 767-112 now, the phone number of the guys, maybe the commander or the controller or the chief, the fire chief in that station is very wrong, please. So even though you're going to call your 767, that relationship will make you call 080 something and get even more help beyond and above what you can normally get. So please pay a visit, identify the nearest fire service station, state and federal, I know the one that is closest to your premises or facility. And please, in between now and September, please pay a courtesy visit to them, introduce yourself, tell them the purpose of visit is for you to just familiarize yourself with them, and that you would like to have their number, and that's fine. All right, next slide. I think we're almost done. Let's go to the last slide now. So I've told you 4 categories you should have in your place of work, and I've told you their duties, I've told you their categories. Head count, search and rescue, communication, firefighting. These are the people that then form your fire warden or fire marshal team, and these are the things they do. They carry out the fire drill, everybody knowing the role it plays under the 4 different groups, ensure that employees know the fire assembly points, have or develop, create, review what we call the close down procedure. If there's actually an emergency, what should we do? They must be familiar with that procedure. All right. Ensure the regular use of the primary and secondary escape routes, especially when there is an emergency. Evacuate people, of course, under their search and rescue ability or assignments. Then, of course, take the roll call or head counts of people at the muster points. This brings us to the end of today's class, just in time. Any question, please? You can unmute your microphone for questions. Hello, any question?
Okay. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
All right, sir. So you made mention, you said if the fire outbreak should be from electrical source, that water remedy should not be applied. Now, the hydrant is made of water. Is it that the fire should, if the fire should come from electric source, that we should not use the hydrant?
No, you cannot use the hydrants. It will lead to electric shock or electrocution. If there is fire from anything that has to do with electricity, please use CO2. And make sure that they power down. So for powering down the equipment or panel is very key. So power down the equipment or panel, then use CO2. Yes, please. Okay. Any other question, please?
Good evening, sir.
I'm with you.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to ask you, in a situation where is an estate, not a building, not an office, and a fire outbreak happened, because in an office there is a muster point, yes, where everybody gathered, where you do a roll call and orders and all that. But in an estate where a facility manager is managing an estate and an occurrence happen, how would that facility manager handle it regarding people in the building?
So I think the first thing now is you need to establish a muster point. There is no place that a muster point is just any point right now that looks safe away from the building. It can even be close to the gate. Of course, when there is, maybe I didn't say this, when there is fire, there is no exit or entry of people. When there is fire outbreak, nobody goes in, nobody goes out until a decision is made. If you allow people to go out, there will be commotion, there will be confusion, and they can be stampede. And people will then die of stampede and not of fire. Same way, no need for entry. So you don't need more people to come in unless they're actually skilled and they can help, like fire service guys. All right. So you must then have a muster point. It could be somewhere at the car park, it could be close to maybe the exit gate, because you said it's an estate, right? But a place must be defined, and that must be known to people. That in case there is emergency, this is where we should all gather. Each building, I don't know the setting of the building, if it's block of flats or high-rise or what have you, must have fire extinguishers. If it's high-rise, must have fire extinguishers at every second staircase. So at every two, I don't know how many floors. So that means if there is extinguisher on the ground floor, there was extinguisher on the second floor, fourth floor. In some cases, they even do extinguishers on every floor. Both one DCP, one CO2 on every floor. And people are trained to use that. But in case of emergency, you come straight down to the muster point. All right. So I think it is not about whether it is an office or we need to establish muster points in an estate. That's the message. Thank you. Any more question? I need to leave now. It's been a very long day. Any more? All right. If there is no other question, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for your patience today. It's been a very long day for me. All right. Thank you, and hope to see you some other time. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you everyone for joining today's class. See you next tomorrow.